Hello, this is Megan.
And this is Mark.
Welcome to our 24th video of the Star Wars Galaxy's Edge construction at Disneyland. Today is June 2nd, 2018.
First of all, a crane is lifting what appears to be set pieces for the Millennium Falcon show building. And here they are being lowered to be put into the building. Now if we look to the left of the show building, we can see that there's some more pieces on the ground level ready to be transferred into the building. And here they're being lifted to one of the top openings of the show building. Next, we'll look at one of the side openings of the Battle Escape. Alright, from here we can see that scaffolding has been put up near the inner side wall of the docking bay area. And the scaffolding looks like it'll be used to give the workers access to high wall and ceiling of the docking bay. Now, if we look behind the scaffolding, we can see that workers are adding plywood to the floor beam structure. Next, we'll go on the Disneyland Railroad to see what has changed from that perspective. The rock formations for the cave area are now white in color. We'll watch it in slow motion. And I'll pause the picture right here. This white coating on the rock formations is likely a primer, and it's common to add a concrete binding primer before a top coat is added. It acts as a moisture-resistant finish to the concrete and has agents in it that will inhibit the growth of mildew and mold. And not only will it help with this, but it'll also help to firmly secure the top coat that will eventually be added, preventing peeling and flaking. Usually primers are either white or gray. In this case, a white primer is the best choice. It's easier to tell where the primer has already been added to the concrete. This will make sure that the entire surface of the concrete has the primer coating, so they don't miss a spot. Next, we'll go on the Matterhorn. Here we can see that the entire dome top structure in the middle of the picture has been completely covered with sheet metal. Let's look at the model to see what the structure will look like once it's completely finished. I'll dissolve the picture back to what the structure looks like today. Now we're at the top of Chippendale's treehouse, and we'll look at the village area in the distance. And what is really cool is that Disney recently announced the official name for the village area. The name is Black Spire Outpost. And the rock spires that are being created for the land for the Planet Back 2 are actually giant petrified trees. And on a side note, a petrified tree is a type of rock spire. Since they're one and the same, we'll be using the terms petrified tree and rock spire back and forth. Alright, notice in the middle of the picture we can see that a new beam structure has been made. And what this beam structure will be for can be recognized on the model. It'll be used for the structural framework for this petrified tree, which is adjacent to this building. On May 24th, we saw a beam being brought in to be used for this framework. And that beam can be seen in the framework. I'll go ahead and highlight the beam in yellow. On the model, we also showed the building that's adjacent to this spire framework. I'll point to it. A new layer has been added to the sidewalls. I'll go ahead and zoom in. We'll do a flashback to show how this wall has changed over time. Here we can see the metal studs of the wall, basically the wall's framing. Next, gold sheathing has been added. then a protective coating on top of the gold sheathing. And back to today, it looks like a plaster coating has been added to the wall. If we look to the right a little bit, the structure here has gold sheathing added to it, since we saw it last.
And if we look to the right a little more, we can see the structure we saw from the Matterhorn. Today is June 9th, 2018.
We are on Harbor Boulevard to see what has changed from this perspective. We can see Galaxy's Edge in the distance. I'll go ahead and zoom in. We have a good view of the tower structure that is next to the Millennium Falcon show building. The metal studs, the framework of the structure, can be seen. We'll go into Disneyland and go to the top of Chippendale's treehouse. Here from the top of the treehouse, we can see that another dome-top structure has been put in place at the Spire Outpost.
Let's compare this to the model, showing what it will look like when it's completely finished.
Next, we'll slide to the right. This worker is installing a beam side framing and sheet metal to one of the structures. Notice that the new framework is curving inward at the top of this cylindrical structure. We'll look at the model to see what this will look like once it's completely finished. On the model, we can see the tapered top portion of the structure. I'll highlight it in yellow so it stands out more. On the other side of Mickey's Toontown, we have a view of the tower structure next to the Millennium Falcon show building. And here workers are installing sheet metal to the side of the structure. This is the same structure that we viewed from Harbor Boulevard this morning. And let's look back to what it looked like this morning. The sheet metal that has been installed since this morning is approximately here. When we go back to present time, notice that one of the workers is located directly under this beam.
Next, we'll go on Big Thunder Mountain Railroad.
Here we can see that a new beam structure has been constructed for one of the petrified trees. Let's look at the model to see what the final appearance of the spire will eventually look like. Also, if we look closely, we can see a base structure for a spacecraft. I'll go ahead and zoom in. And I'll point to it. Now we'll go into Critter Country to see what we can find from that location. Notice the passengers on the Mark Twain. I'll pause the picture.
It's David and Ian from Fresh Baked.
Most of you probably know who Fresh Baked is, but for those who don't, they have a really good YouTube channel. Quite a variety of programming. They provide weekly reports from Disneyland, attraction history videos, Galaxy Edge updates, and much more. And if you haven't been to their channel, we recommend it. Megan and I really enjoy the weekly reports that they give, and it's also great to always see them in the parks. It looks like they're filming the workers behind the trees that are working on the side framing of one of the structures.
Now, we're at the Mickey and Friends parking structure.
We have a good view of the new beam structure from here as well. If we look a little bit to the left, we can see another new dome top structure, or I should say half dome top. Let's compare this to the model. Next, we'll look over to the right of the battle escape. They brought something in. It appears to be framing for a control cabinet. It could be used for many different types of controls, electric or pneumatic. They're bringing it to the side building of the battle escape. Alright, we'll come back at nighttime. Notice that metal studs have been added to the side opening of the show building. I'll go ahead and zoom in. Now let's get a different angle. From this angle, we can see through to the opposite side of the docking bay area. Here we can see that metal studs have been added to that side as well. If we look up, we can see ducts for the HVAC system. This ductwork looks like it's behind the docking bay area. Well, that's a taste of things to come.
We can't wait to see what they'll build next.